True crimers, welcome to Break the Case. Listen, this is just a last minute session that I wanted to do. Why? Because there's really what I call pretty breaking news regarding a possible third assassination attempt against Donald Trump. I think it's just important to come on and at least set out the facts as to what transpired and let you in the audience, savor it and see what you think. But essentially, yesterday, when Trump was speaking at a rally in California, and I should say this was just prior to the rally beginning, an individual named Vim Miller breached the outside layer of security. So the outer security, in other words, there's several layers of security in any sort of event where you are responsible for protecting, whether it's an FBI director or a president, it doesn't matter. There are all these layers. So in this particular layer, the outside layer was actually guarded, if you will, by local law enforcement. And the inner part, I should say, the outer part of the inside layer was also guarded by local law enforcement. So this was prior to any breach that would have been done at the Secret Service level, which is at the utmost inner level, which I'm hoping is at about 200 yards now, because that's where a sniper could actually take aim and shoot. But in any event, we know this event happened at about a quarter of a mile away. And in any event, Vin Miller came through and he had license plates that were very strange. They weren't normal license plates, and they were immediately on the inside layer of law enforcement identified them as what they have seen with sovereign citizens. For those of you who don't know what sovereign citizens are, we come across these a lot in law enforcement, and essentially are a fringe sect of the far right that basically say, listen, we do not have to comport to any laws, whether they be local, state, federal, because we are sovereign. In other words, we follow the laws typically of God. And so we don't have to get licenses. We don't have to register our cars. We don't have to pay taxes. We don't really have to abide by any of the laws that are in this country. That is essentially, in a nutshell, what sovereign citizens believe. So in any event, this particular license plate was identified as what law enforcement has seen previously with sovereign citizens. They stopped the individual, Vim Miller, and realized his car was in a disarray. That's how they caged it, at least when they spoke to the media, that the car interior was in disarray. In addition, they looked at press passes and VIP passes that, according to local law enforcement, and I just listened to the presser by the sheriff, who, by the way, and I think this is important, he is a supporter of Trump. I'm really not sure how that has too much play in this, but it has to be considered. Anyway, he says that these credentials were fake. They search the vehicle and they find additional passports and other identification that are all fraudulent. Then they also find a shotgun, a handgun, and a large capacity magazine, which tells me you can have magazines that go into handguns that shoot up to, I'm trying to think the most I've ever seen, I'm going to say in the neighborhood of 20 rounds. You can really have a large capacity for your magazine that you put in your magazine well that just a handgun can shoot. There were no other anomalies. In other words, we didn't hear the shotguns were sawed off. We didn't hear that the semi-automatic pistol was retrofitted to be automatic. So we didn't hear of any other anomalies in terms of the firearms. There was no long gun. And that's important because a shotgun can shoot really super accurately at 50 yards. But once you get outside 100 or so yards, I mean, it's just not as accurate depending on the load, meaning do you have birdshot, do you have buckshot, do you have slug? It's just not going to be as accurate. But these guns were loaded and there was ammunition. Okay, so I'm reciting essentially the facts known per the sheriff's office that conducted the car stop, that conducted the investigation, that actually arrested Mr. Miller and put him in jail for the unregistered firearms. Now, many would say, listen, Jen, they're unregistered firearms. Do you know how many people in the United States believe in the Second Amendment and do not register their firearms? And I totally agree with that. In fact, I agree that that exists, in other words. And actually, in many, many states, you're not even required to take any sort of lessons. You don't have to register or in other words, get a concealed carry license anymore. Florida just changed over. Texas just changed over. And there's multiple other states. Kansas is another one. They call those constitutional carry states, and there's several. And in those states, you don't have to have specific authority to have a concealed weapon. Nevertheless, when you purchase a weapon, it should be registered. This individual had non-registered weapons. To be honest with you, that is not a huge violation, and that is why he was given a $5,000 bond. Now, this is where I take a lot of issue. First of all, I take issue with the fact that the sheriff's department, the local authority, is giving us one set of facts, if you will, and the FBI is saying something different. If you read what the sheriff said, or if you watched his presser, he essentially says that, listen, we thwarted a third assassination attempt. I'm paraphrasing, but he was worried that that is exactly what Mr. Miller was going to do. Why did he think that? He thought that because fake credentials to get close to Trump, and you've got unregistered guns. So it's the combination of both. I truly believe that some people will fake identification and fake getting these VIP passes simply because they want to be closer to, whether it's a rock star or some sort of presidential candidate. It doesn't matter. They just want to be close in the mix. So I understand that that could have been a possibility, but why bring guns? You add to it this sovereign citizen aspect. And what law enforcement and the FBI is most worried about are lone wolves. Lone wolves are essentially people that have a philosophy and they become unhinged. We saw that with the first two individuals involved in assassination attempts against Trump, right? They were unhinged. They spoke about it. They wrote about it. There were issues going on for sure in terms of their belief regarding former President Trump and what made them want to commit an assassination against him. We don't know if there's any information out there against Mr. Miller in regard to this. We don't know. But what I do find interesting is that very short term, he was arrested and he was released. Remember, a $5,000 bond really means $500, right? You get a bondsman to post the $5,000 and you have to only pay $500 for that. meaning that you'll show up in court proceedings, and the bondsman takes that liability. So it's a very meager amount of money to me. I mean, this is just me as a citizen. And again, I don't care whether it's Kamala, I don't care whether it's Biden, I don't care whether it's Trump. It is so important and integral to our political process that we not have to worry as citizenry about assassinations, an assassination of our future leaders. Remember, it's historical what happened to Trump. It's only ever happened once before, and that was with President Garfield, happened in a short period of time, 2 assassination attempts. So now this is the question. Was this really an assassination attempt? Was it maybe Mr. Miller trying to figure out if he could breach security and get close to Trump with guns, with fake identification, with fake credentials? Was that what he was trying to do? I've seen reports already on Twitter that he is very closely associated with a gigantic Twitter account that is a conspiracy type account. That's what they promote and believe in, government conspiracies, and that Mr. Miller was in fact a partner with this particular Twitter account, and that all of this is ludicrous to think that this individual, Mr. Miller, would ever attempt to hurt or assassinate President Trump. I will say this, though. I doubt if the family, friends, business associates of the prior 2 would-be assassins would have thought that their friend or associate would ever try to assassinate President Trump. So I have to sort of caveat that. But moving on to what we have, it's reasonable, in my opinion, logical to find issue with the fact that somebody would fake credentials, press credentials, fake VIP credentials, and have a slew of other fake credentials in their vehicle and loaded, unregistered weaponry and go to a Trump rally. I mean, for me, it's somewhat of a common sense issue. If I'm law enforcement, I take this very seriously. They arrested him. Now, what is the FBI doing? The FBI is aware, as is the Secret Service. But remember, the Secret Service doesn't conduct investigations into this type of activity. And the Secret Service has said, and this is important, that anything that happened did not make them adjust or did not hinder their protection of Trump. I also found it interesting that at least in the President Trump speaking today in Prescott, Arizona, I didn't hear him mention anything about this, attempt. Would he have? Would he have said, listen, 3 times here? So I found that interesting, but I also saw that he didn't talk about the other 2, attempts either. So was this an assassination attempt or was it not? He's been released with $500 bond. Surely, if the FBI believed he was a risk or had committed this egregious of a potential crime, they would have held him. Now you might say, well, what did he do? Well, if he had identification 10 or more that were falsified, there's this great statute. It's 18 USC 1028, and it's something that we in law enforcement use a lot. You can use it on all sorts of different cases, cases where somebody has committed a far more egregious crime, but you're trying to get them held and you need charges to sort of keep them held up while you look into more serious charges. We saw this for those of you who are true crimers. I think everybody here is. In the Gabby Petito case, they arrested Brian Laundrie for using her bank card. The FBI did, right? That wasn't really what they were looking at, but it was a violation, and they took him, and that gave them a chance to start their investigation into the murder and, at that time, missing case of Gabby Petito. So when you consider the fact that the FBI at least didn't hold him until maybe they could conduct search warrants of his phones, of his communication and electronic devices, of his home, of his vehicle was searched, I believe, by local law enforcement. But those communication devices, to me, tell a story. Again, do I think this was a true assassination attempt or potential? There's not enough information to know, but there's certainly enough information to give anyone in law enforcement, especially the FBI, considering how marked of a target Trump is, pause and make them say, slow down. We're going to look into the things I just said, cell phone, electronic devices, his home, and just make sure there was no attempt that was a potential. What I really think this could have been, and I had a similar case like this after 9/11, where a particular criminal was trying to sneak razor blades through security onto a plane, over 30 of them. Do I think he was going to take over the plane that day? No, because he didn't have enough accomplices on the plane. But do I think it was a test case? Absolutely. He was convicted, and that was proven in a court of law. And maybe this individual is trying to say, see, security really isn't that great. And I was able to get through with fake license plates on the outside of my car. I was able to breach one layer, and they only stopped me at the inner layer and look at everything I had in my car, and only 250 yards away. And at 250 yards away, a good shot with a proper scope and with a high quality rifle could make an attempt on a president. So anyway, I just wanted to break that down. I want to look at questions and comments and see if there is anything out here. Let's see, here we go. Questions and comments. See, oh, sorry, cancel. Sorry, something popped up right in the middle of my screen. Yeah, was he testing the waters? Yes, thank you so much, Laura. If you do like this, please hit the like button. I appreciate it so much. So they sought the guy out. The reason law enforcement became onto him, if you will, is his license plate was not an official license plate. And in fact, it was something that I guess is a license plate that at least this sheriff was familiar with, is sometimes on the vehicles of sovereign citizens. So that's why they were alerted on the inner layer, not the outer layer, but the inner layer was alerted and searched his vehicle, found all of this, and saw the pass he was trying to show was fake. What's concerning is something else, and I want to get back to your comments, is I saw on Twitter where everybody is saying, no, it was all, his press pass was real, and I don't know that to be true. I have to believe the sheriff is not lying. They arrested him. I mean, no matter what, they had to prove probable cause to arrest somebody, and then they're going to have to prove this in a court of law. So do I think that his credentials were fake? Yes, I do. Because if not, they wouldn't have arrested him. The FBI, though, is backing up the contention that no, he was not a threat, and this was not a third assassination attempt. I just want to say this is a dichotomy, right, between the FBI and between the local sheriff's office. So that I find confusing. Everyone should be on the same page, I think, if the facts are correct. So to me, this says the FBI believes they have one set of facts and the sheriff's office believes they have another. And that's disconcerting to me as a citizen, because I'm a citizen now. All right. No disrespect of your opinion, but does anyone deserve to be killed for their beliefs and words? Oh my goodness, Angel, whew. I hope you don't think I think that. No one. That's why I was saying no one should be assassinated, whether you're Kamala Harris, whether you're Biden, whether you're former President Trump. No one should be assassinated, hurt, ridiculed, harassed, any lesser items just because you have a different ideology. You should be able to discuss different notions about whether it be crime or politics, whatever it be, and do it civilly. No one should be assassinated. Just to clear that up, if somehow that came across. Oh, thank you, Lady Divine. I appreciate everyone. You know, I work a pretty robust job, and actually multiple jobs. And then, of course, I'm a News Nation contributor and have a family. So I feel like my channel ends up getting, not the time it deserves. I'm actually, if anyone knows of a YouTube guru, and what I mean by that is someone that can challenge monetization, somebody that can do thumbnails, somebody that can help with producing the videos that actually go to the audio only platforms that I have already set up. I would really, really appreciate you DMing me on Twitter. It would mean a lot to me. I'm really looking for somebody to hire to handle these responsibilities, because even though I'm insomniac and I don't sleep much, I really need somebody to assist with the channel, kind of to keep it going, because I'm doing all aspects of it right now. And I'm not doing a particularly good job, mostly because this is not my area of expertise. All I've ever done since I was 19 years old is study law, study criminal justice, get my education, do my pre-med, and then go into law enforcement. At the age of 21, I became an intern, and then, have been in law enforcement my whole life. So YouTube channel creation, etc., is definitely not my forte. Please DM me on Twitter if you're looking for a job and you're a YouTube guru. Okay, moving on. Sorry. Okay, twist my words. I'm not sure. It looks like there might be discussion amongst people in the chat that I'm late on that aren't directed at me. Oh, thank you so much. I mean, I really appreciate just everybody being here and, eating up the message, and your questions and comments mean a lot to me. I read literally everything. My husband's ready to kill me because I'm up all night reading all these comments and suggestions and thoughts, because it really helps me understand where people are coming from and learn and hopefully contribute to. Okay, I don't want to get off base. Tia says, really, you don't sleep much? My day's ruined if I don't get 8. My day, I can't imagine getting 8 hours, but it's something my whole life I've been an insomniac. So this isn't odd for me or anything. It runs in my family. My mom's this way. My 3 brothers are also this way. We're up during the night, but a good 5 hours, I'll take it. Let's see. So sorry. Thank you, Mish. Let's see. I'm an independent. I will vote for Trump, but I don't wish harm on Harris or Biden. Exactly. No matter your political leanings, none of us want to see our leaders threatened by murder. I mean, this is insane that this has happened to Trump twice. Do I think this is a legitimate possible third attempt, I just can't imagine we would release Miller if that were the case. So I'm very hopeful that the FBI has made the right decisions in terms of not charging him for any identity possession, and they're going to look into this, and maybe this was just a test case to say, see, he's still not being guarded well. I don't know, though. Oh, thank you, Mish. I really appreciate it. It was a super sticker from Mish. Keeping It Real says, I'm the same way. Caroline Miller, thank you, Doc. A good cup of coffee before sleep helps me sleep. Oh my gosh, I do not drink coffee. I could never drink. I can't drink coffee. I can't take, I mean, I don't know if any of you are like this, and this is just kind of an impromptu session, so I'm going to be a little bit more casual, but I'm the type of person, I could take 3 ibuprofen for the most egregious pain, and it works perfectly. My body just, if I have I'm not a wine drinker, but if I have a glass of I'm not a beer drinker either, but if I have whatever the drink is, that's it affects me super strongly. Same with ibuprofen, same with caffeine, anything like that. So for me, I just stay away from most of it for the most part. Let's see. Yes, when you start threatening our presidential candidates, you really threaten our freedom. You threaten the democracy. And that's why, for me, this subject has been so intense. That and the fact that being on the FBI director's personal protective detail, it was just mind-boggling to me what happened in the first attempt. I was happy to see the second attempt thwarted, but again, he had been sitting there for hours and hours and hours undetected. Again, another bad situation, at least in this one. If this was an attempt, and even if it was just a test, they passed the test because they never got to the inner perimeter. All right, let's see. No, it's not legal to have unregistered firearms in California. California and New York and a lot of other eastern states are actually very strict in their firearms legislation, and whether you can and can't carry, and licensing and so forth. So no, that's what he was arrested for, and he bonded out. But no, you can't. You must register your firearms. Let's see. Mish, I have too much in my head at night. Me too. Tia, I'm from Barbados. Oh my gosh, Barbados is beautiful. I went there once. It was when I was the SSRA for the U.S. Virgin Islands, and they treated me like a queen. I was at this amazing house. They waited on me hand and foot. It was amazing. And it was the most clean, beautiful place. I loved Barbados. All right. Sorry to digress. I'm on morphine, LOL. That probably helps with sleep. I've known people that have chronic pain that I know very well that have to take morphine to deal with pain. And everybody's body and how we process, drugs, narcotics, we're all different. All right, let's see what we have here. Oh, good. Katerina has some coffee recommendations. I'll give that to my daughter. She's a coffee lover. Perhaps the agents were being tested. I wonder with this. I wonder what Mr. Miller ends up saying ultimately. I wonder if this was a test. That's just kind of where my mind went with this. Heisenberg, thank you so much. Okay, let me read what Heisenberg has to say, though. I need to show this. Why isn't this showing? Oh, boy. Trump doesn't seem to comprehend that his own words of hate and division influences people. He will never take responsibility for his own rhetoric. So I think the point you're trying to make is that because he is so strong in what he has to say, and the rhetoric is can be construed as being hateful, which I know what you're saying. I read this week where he said, I hate Barack Obama. I read where he said, I hate the pop star. For some reason, her name escaped me. But nevertheless, because he's hateful, you're saying is what is inciting people to commit these assassination attempts. I would say that in both cases, those attempted assassinators had a lot of issues going on. And so I don't know if it was really Trump's hate speech or whether it was issues with them that really promoted their actions. Let's see. Thank you, though, for your comment. Taylor Swift. How can I forget that? I mean, she dates Kelsey, and I'm a Chiefs fan. It wasn't that I forgot it. It literally escaped my mind. Thank you. Yes, Swiftie, Taylor Swift. So HB Girl says, and I think this is important, back to Heisenberg, you probably have never listened to an entire Trump speech and maybe are misinformed by legacy media edited clips. So, I mean, just to paint both sides of this issue, right? I think we've heard and seen, hate from Trump. I've seen hate from everyone in politics. I hate it. I hate the hate. Anyway, I don't like to see that within politics, but it's rampant, and it's rampant amongst people. And the point is, I will say, I do think, having watched a lot of Trump's speeches, I watched one tonight because I was on News Nation, and then afterwards I was listening to his speech. He's really pretty funny. I mean, and I think a lot of sort of the stuff he says in sarcasm and in a sardonic way is really considered his actual thoughts more seriously. I don't know. That's just something I noticed tonight. He's kind of funny. He makes fun of everything and everyone. He was making fun of himself tonight. So anyway, certainly he's a good orator. He doesn't really use a teleprompter much, but I see both sides of the issue. But no matter what, no one deserves to be a target like he is, period. That's my belief. All right. It's nasty business. He does have a quick wit. I mean, I've never really noticed that, but tonight I was listening. I don't listen to a lot of Trump. I don't listen to a lot of Kamala. What I do is listen to excerpts, and mostly when I'm on News Nation, because I'm not particularly a political person, but I do certainly keep up with the issues. For me, my issue with politics is America first. I don't care whether you're a Democrat, an independent, Republican. I need American and Americans first. So when you see on Twitter that I'm very staunchly against illegal immigration and very for legal immigration, this is why. It is so wrong what is happening to our country. It is so wrong that our veterans are not able to get health care, are not able to get, any form of housing. They're not being handed debit cards. They're not being given housing. And I have watched video after video after video that are legitimate videos of people who are illegally in this country just getting handouts. I think it's horrible. And what I'm most concerned about from a law enforcement perspective, and about maybe 2-3 years ago, actually, another FBI agent had a podcast at that time. Mine is new, but hers has been around forever. And she had me on that podcast, and I was talking about Fazil Karim, who was a terrorist. And it was a case I had right after 9/11. And so she does a deep dive into different FBI agents' cases. And that's what we took the deep dive. And at that time, I said, my biggest concern is we have to keep our borders tight. If we don't, we're going to have terrorists enter, which has already happened. We're going to have gang members enter. We're going to have criminals enter, because you cannot vet people. So while there's so many people that come across just seeking a better life, they have families, I understand that, but we can't let them enter at the cost of illegal aliens who are criminals and who are terrorists and who are gang members who are going to threaten and kill American citizens that should never, ever be killed, like Laken Riley, like Rachel Morin. They should be alive today, because if those illegal aliens would have been kept out of our borders, they would be alive today. And the list goes on and on and on and on. All right, sorry. Let's see. Lady Divine, what is scary is watching the videos of the immigrant gangs. It is so scary. And for people who downplay that, I just don't get that. There is a difference between an entire complex being overrun by Tren, T-R-E-N. That is the short version of the gang. That's the Venezuelan prison gang. They are absolutely as bad as MS-13. They are vicious, and they are infiltrating our country. I just I just posted an article in Twitter about how they are recruiting people from middle schools to be part of their gang. It's very concerning. Tren del Aragua. I did take Spanish. I do speak Spanish. So in any event, it's frightening. It's frightening. And we should all, as U.S. citizens, I don't care whether you're a Democrat or Republican, we should all be concerned about all of that. Okay. Yes. And you're talking about, so this person says, sorry, not this person. I'm so sorry. Caroline Miller says, listen, they're also threatening basically the job market, right? That many illegal aliens are doing the jobs that U.S. citizens should be doing. And I completely agree. Oh, all right. Oh my gosh, Mr. Heisenberg, thank you. I appreciate it. Okay, let me read what Mr. Heisenberg has to say. There are no excuses for his words of hate over the years, especially how he cared more for Putin's well-being by giving him COVID materials, all at the same time calling that virus a hoax here. Mr. Heisenberg, I think, this is what I think, that for somebody like me, I consider myself a true crime guru. I feel like I know a lot about crime, but I don't know a lot about politics. And so for the nuances that you bring up, I think it's good for our audience to see them and to consider them. I personally am not a political commentator. I don't know enough about what each side has done, what each side has said. Again, I am most concerned about the issues that I think affect Americans, which are our borders and the rise in how much everything costs, inflation. This is something I have seen with my own eyes and feel it in my pocketbook. And literally, it's become strangling. It's criminal what has happened to the cost of everything. And that, to me, as an American, is what I'm most concerned about. All right. HB girl, I'm out. All right, guys. I'm out too. I just want to thank my mods for coming on. This was I just said, I've got to go on about this subject. So I want to thank all my mods and everybody who was here. And I love how you guys engage in a conversation. I can't wait. Once we get off, I go back and look at it to see kind of what you all are thinking and coming from. If you have any suggestions, I'm definitely, we're going to do a show on Monday night about Delphi. I think we're going to do it Monday. And then I also want to do a catch up and recap on the Idaho 4. And then I also want to do one on Scott Peterson. So that's what I'm hoping for this week, probably to do 3 short shows. I thank you for coming in on your Sunday evening. And until next time, may justice be served.